I don't want to close my eyes. Don't want to fall asleep, 'cause I miss you, baby. And I don't want to miss a thing. How many times do I have to tell you? You got an album review to review. You're right. Spelling Portrait of My Heart. Hello one, hello all, it's the gothiest ghost of them all, Casper in the flesh, wishing you the best. And it's time for an album review of the brand new LP, Spelling Portrait of My Heart. Yes, Spelling is back, and for those who don't know, Spelling is the musical pseudonym of singer, songwriter, producer Cristina Cabral. And this is her fourth LP, if you don't count Spelling in her Mystery School, which was a compilation project of her earlier works, current works. But now we have a full length here, 11 tracks, 41 minutes. And I would be remiss if I didn't recommend to you her last LP, Turning Wheel, which is easily a fantastic contender for album of the decade. And yes, an album that I didn't review formally because this is way before I had the channel, but I started to have an interest in reviewing music at that time. I was flirting with the idea, but man, such a fantastic, excellent, beautiful, moving, well put together album, which I found to be a very enchanting art pop experience, stellar vocal performances, and those vocal performances do land here, just in a different context now. And an album with tons of range, whether it's the synth range, her vocal range, and a very creative album too. And I will say that creativity does land here as well. And Cabral does bring that magic once again, but more with alternative rock, this time getting a band together as shown in her IG pages, and really going the distance here as she normally does. And while this isn't exactly the nature-loving, music-loving album that Turning Wheel was, this dives more into a very personal direction, a more inner direction of love, intimacy, isolation, anxiety, alienation. So yes, this is a very emotional, in-your-feelings album, but not in a very melodramatic, whiny, obnoxious way. Because this is more, I would say, you get your outer expressions, your inner monologues. So I would say, yeah, a lot of these tracks are rock-driven, but also you do get the fantastical journey experience as well, but maybe not as consistent, I would say, in terms of flow, but we'll get into that. Because I feel while there is artistic change here, it definitely does go to show no matter what style Spelling embarks on, the result is going to be gratifying. It's going to kick ass, because this album, even though it's a stylistic change, just absolutely rocks. Whether it's the absolutely epic guitar layering against these marching drums and distant ghostly vocals on Ammunition, or the crunchy distorted guitars and wondrous string passages on the absolutely epic power pop art rock banger, Keep It Alive. And of course the incredibly anthemic and insanely catchy Alibi, with driving guitars that are subtly layered with watery bass, ethereal synths, crashing drums, not to mention the killer solo. I swear to God, if this does not end up on the opening to a series of A Teenage Witch, I am gonna lose my or the swelling dark synth chords against these manic drum fills with these distant wailing guitars on the back end of Drain. So I would say here, sonically, structurally, this is pretty much Turning Wheel's moody, angsty sister. So I would say yes, you do get the synths, get the strings, but of course there's more additions here. And I do love how they're expanding with different elements. Because Spelling is showing she's not just an art pop artist, she is also just an artist in general. Because she's really showing you that versatility, showing that she could give you that passion, that intensity, that majestic feel, but in various ways here. And she's not just delivering you a different genre and just saying, yeah, this is a different genre, we just got a guitarist and a drummer and we just winged it. No, like, she's giving you heart, she's giving you passion, devotion, ambition, color. But I wouldn't say this is a vast departure from the progressive pop era due to the fact that you are getting those elements here. So what you're getting is you're getting glam, but you're also getting grime. And I am so grateful that even though we are getting the incorporations of art rock and prog, it's not to a point where the guitars are super clean, the vocals are super sanitary, and it's so cleaned up, and the guitars are so touched up to a point where it's sugary, to a point where it's pop rock, to a point where it gives me a stomach ache. No. And that's the thing too, like the energy here, the choruses, they're immensely memorable. And I think that's where their pop rock, power pop element comes in. But also, there is accessibility to this. I think if you played this for someone, it would be easier to digest than the Turning Wheel. But while you can categorize this as pop rock or power pop, the authenticity is still there. The creativity is still there. Like, this is not the sellout album that people were afraid of. But if you listen to the singles, I don't know why you would have that idea. And in terms of influence, I would say that I'm getting some David Bowie here. I'm also getting some old school No Doubt, like the old school No Doubt. Now, that's in terms of the vocals, but also, we're also getting some grungy elements too in terms of the sonics. So as whimsical and fantastical as this album could be, there's also a raw, grungy tone to the guitar here, but it's not so grungy and it's not so fantastical to a point where it makes the coalescing of the two sound awkward. So with the inclusion of rock, you're also getting the ornate instrumentation, which I would say if you were to go back to REM's catalog, you would definitely pick that up. You would pick up that comparison as well. As far as the slower moments go, I am definitely getting like a combination of like Prince, I'm getting Mariah Carey, Earth, Wind and Fire, especially with the rising crescendo choruses like da da. Take for example Mount Analog, mostly with the murky chords, epically impassioned chorus builds, the raising soaring melodies, the atmospheric dreamy production. We almost get what I could describe as prog, psych rock, but with crunchy metal dissonance to the chords that sound very Deftones-y. Like, I swear, like, the way they're playing here, the creativity put here, I feel could blow almost any band of that style, of that era, out of the water. Even the ones that try to revitalize that era as well. Or on Drain, that has these majestic woodwinds against these crashing cymbals, and with the levels of distortion here, I would definitely say that this definitely does feel like a callback, or I could draw a simile to System of a Down. But also I gotta mention that absolutely absorbent, nightmarish outro, where it sounds like all the instrumentation and spelling are just being swallowed up into this abyss. But I do think, though, there are moments here where the instrumentation doesn't really coalesce that well and actually creates a conflict with each other and doesn't complement each other at all, like on Satisfaction. Like, I don't think the Halloween-y synth chords complement the heavy instrumentation at all. Like, it sounds like I'm watching this very cheesy Halloween special cartoon. Not to mention how underwritten this track is and how the vocals are buried, very buried in the mix. And I might as well point out Love Ray Eyes, which I think has some good moments, but that could be me wearing my Fleetwood Mac nostalgia goggles. Like, I can't deny how catchy the hook is. We're on a roll. Obviously I can't sing that, but yeah, the hook is very catchy. It's just so repetitious after a while and doesn't exactly have the majestic build of anything else here. And I'm certainly getting here the inner expressions, outer expressions of love. It's like we're getting these deepest, darkest feelings, like we've been casted into this world as we're exploring the deepest, darkest feelings of this very emotionally distraught, emotionally broken Disney witch, and she's trying to get herself together, and we're just witnessing these various scenarios and passages just all correlating to the heart, the portrait of her heart, and heart in a proverbial sense as dealing with, again, emotions, like almost every emotion you could think of, the positive, the negatives. Like, it knows not to saturate itself with one thing, because as anthemic as this could be, as enchanting as this could be, this could also be a devastating album as well. And while it's not exactly listed as a concept record, I am picking up on a bit of a theme here. And as I am finding myself immersed with this, I am picking up on similarities, something thematic, correlations. And I'm just finding it really hard not to be enamored with these tracks or immersed in these tracks. It's like she has brought me to another world once again. I think it's important to say I have not seen Cabral post publicly anything regarding any traumatic experiences, any harrowing experiences, current heartbreaks. But I feel we're certainly getting that. And you can make the argument that if you were to read this on a surface level, you would see some type of ambivalence, but it really does all come together like it's not this undecided type of album, because there's like so many emotions. Like no matter what emotion she's feeling, it all centers around emotion as a whole, emotion which also tampers with mentality as well. And you can make the argument there's really no sunrise, sunset type of flow here like on Turning Wheel, because I think this thing really runs more on a foundation and opposed to a circle, a cycle. And speaking of matters of the heart and also of the psyche, I think we get more from that on Cabral and Waterfall. That feels like I'm going on this epic journey through these transpiring moments. That feels like I'm going through this epic journey throughout transpiring through Cabral's thought process. As we hear these distant warbly bass slaps, galloping arpeggios, panning channel to channel, along with these ghostly layers on the hook with these soaring leads. Veil of change! And the passion, the feeling really does encapsulate the levels of intensity and momentum, as this track is about wanting something inauthentic, wanting something to live for, wanting to diminish this existential crisis, finding yourself in a place, finding meaning to thrive, meaning to continue, and just striving to find that motivation. And that really seems to be a heavy topic here, as integrity is a key basis to this album as well, with not giving up and giving the listener that sense of triumph, sense of success, accomplishment, and the determination just pushed to 11. Case in point, Destiny Arrives. Like having a very strong passion and sense of optimism for the future as you feel like you're getting close to that goal, and once you don't reach it, you're just very much determined to get to that next day, to reach a new beginning, to try again. Like you're very much determined on that destiny, that chance to succeed, and you're just waiting for it. And God, the way the pianos, the strings, the drums create a groove on the hook is great. And with her singing, how expressive it is, how passionate it is, you really are determined. You really are cheering for her as she's singing along, like, yeah, go, you got it, queen, you got it, queen. As she contemplates again on her integrity, the strength to continue, but finds herself optimistic to see the future, the next day. It's certainly a moment of uplift for sure. And with the shitty year I've been having, and with the shitty year a lot of people have been probably having, most likely having, we could all use some uplift. Also, I love the complementary instrumentation added to Cabral's lyrics. Also, the reversed vocals that lead into these gorgeous vocals and these guitars in the background that just give this track this epic finish, which is certainly the most, if not one of the most, which is certainly one of the most, if not the most, hopeful tracks on the whole record, because a lot of this is pretty dark, pretty pessimistic, pretty doomer. And with these topics, we're getting different displays of emotions, but each emotion has like a purpose. But of course, there's some type of conflict going on a great deal of this record. Like wanting love, but not exactly sure, not wanting to be lonely, but yet being regretful after culminating a relationship too fast. Along with not healing properly from the last one and then regretting the current one, which leads to more negative thoughts, more self-loathing. As she really does show her heart on her sleeve on the track Drain, where she goes, too desperate to ignore you, walk away before I lure you. And I feel there's also tracks on this record that create like a juxtaposition to where you're listening to a banger, you're listening to something high octane, that feels very anthemic and powerful, but if you dive deep into the lyrics, there's definitely a emotional contrast, like on Keep It Alive. And I feel like Ammunition is topically a change of pace here. Like there's really a genuine sense of love here, a genuine sense of connection. But based off what I'm picking up from the lyrics, this is basically a taboo, a forbidden type of love, something that has been hit with a lot of oppression, societal pressure to keep people apart in this type of relationship. So I feel this could be queer coded, and that could be very true due to the fact that lately, unfortunately, there has been a resurgence in hatred against same-gender couples, against the queer community in general. And she's giving her partner that reassurance that she is ready to fight back, she is ready to retaliate against the hatred and disgusting oppression they face, and saying, I'm your ammunition, I'm your protection, I'm your weapon of defense. And right as she says, I'm your ammunition, you just hear the guitar start wailing and screaming into this gorgeous, beautiful, symbolic solo. I feel like this is a simplification of the resistance, of fighting back, of protection, the passion and love that Cabral has for her partner in this situation. Gotta admit though, I do think having an upbeat track in the course of the dismal tracks is kind of something I'm not very keen on. I do think it throws off the tone of the record a little bit. And as long as I'm being nitpicky, not only do I not really think it fits well in album context, but it could have been mixed better also. Like I do think Love Ray Eyes could have been a banger had it been mixed better, not as repetitious. And with this being the last track, in my opinion, due to the fact that the last track here is a cover, I don't know, I think I was expecting more of an ending that pretty much, you know, gave me some sort of clarity of finality. Like there seems to be like a possibility of love here. Because the closing track being a My Bloody Valentine cover, which is sometimes, I do think it's certainly complimentary as fuck to the record. Because it does deal in showing someone love, being in love with someone, and not reciprocating that same love back. Like it's certainly a bittersweet closer, but spelling definitely kills it here. And it does have the droning psych elements, but nowhere near as thick as the original, but I don't necessarily think that's what they were going for anyway. I think Spelling was just trying to add like her own spin to it. And one thing about Spelling that we learned on The Turning Wheel is she really knows how to get a group of musicians together. Like she knows who to choose, who not to choose, such as Chaz Bear, aka Toro y Moi, or Pat McCroy of the band Turnstile. And it all just comes together fantastically. With Chaz's great vocal chemistry with Cabral on Mount Analog. Like they really have a very intimate connection here, a very personal performance. And Pat absolutely killing it on the guitar on Alibi. Like when you hear that revving guitar tone, I'm pretty sure that's Pat too. While there are flubs in the production, there's also the roughness aspect, and the roughness most of the time goes over really well. And I think that roughness really does complement the stylistic change of pace that Spelling is going on here. And I would say the heaviest, thickest production we really get here is on the My Bloody Valentine cover, with its dense wall of bass guitar and thumping drums, along with the bright transitional changes in the synth chords, which really does complement Spelling's performance, along with the bright transitions of the synth chords, which really does complement every lyric that Spelling is singing here. Like it really does bolster the performance. There's also the triumphant strings and incredibly distorted drum breaks on the title track, along with the string swells playing in tandem with the pumping bass line, including the echo delay and the fading out of Cabral's vocals, with the I don't belong here, really complementing that lyric. Like I feel the fade out of the voice really does complement the mantra that is repeated here, which is immensely creative and reflective of the theme of isolation as the track is just descending. It's descending into a dark place of a dismal mentality. And with how epic and anthemic this track is, it's one hell of a contrast. But as dismal as these tracks could get, there's also something majestic and magical here, something enchanting. Like there's beauty to be pulled from the darkness. Like on Waterfall with its bright synth chords just glowing above the pounding drums. Like on Waterfall with its bright synth chords just glowing above the pounding drums, guitars, instrumentation, soaring vocals. She definitely finds a way to bring extravagance with angst without making it sound like overacted, a put on, gross. And she really showcases her range gradually here, from her bellowing deep bravados to her soaring highs. Like vocally, sonically, she just nails it no matter what she's doing, whether she's brooding, whether it's something endearing or motivational. Like dark, heavy, light, anthemic, she just nails it. Like when it comes to the bops, barely any flops, and every ballad she kills here. So overall, I found this record to be great, not as grand or as, I would say, a fantastical art pop experience as Turning Wheel was, or as consistent as that, and not exactly mixed as perfectly either, not as consistent sequentially, but overall she really brought another stellar record here. Her vocals are performed with so much personality, range, power, so much emotion, so much expression. Like normally I'm vastly nitpicky with the whole theater kid thing, like it's not really my thing at all. So not only does she have talent and skill, but she also has taste. She has a concept, but also pays attention to detail. She understands contrast. She understands context. Because when you're bringing rock into the mix, she knew not to make this thing too clean. And there's so much passion, creativity, and definitely says a lot here, definitely expresses a lot. And her innovation, her approach to this, her execution to this is just excellent to me. Like she brought rock and it rocks. I'm feeling a 4.5 out of 5 on this album, but if you've given this a listen, what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. And that's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Spelling, Portrait of My Heart. Till we meet again.